Elon Musk meets X after 20 years and shocks Black Millionaire with his unexpected choice. Jack Harrison wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this crowded cafe in downtown San Francisco. Not across from Emily Carter, the woman who haunted his dreams for 2 decades. The buzz of espresso machines and clinking cups faded under the weight of their stare. 2 years gone. 20 years apart. Suddenly, everything crashed down. Jack's heart hammered like a drum in his ribs. His hands trembled, barely able to hold the ceramic cup. The iron grip of years, success, and boardroom battles softened under Emily's gaze. Emily, the brilliant scientist whose work once could have changed the world, but vanished in the shadow of bigger names, bigger money. The air between them thickened, half nostalgia, half regret, soaked in unsaid words and missed chances. Around them, the cafe pulsed with life, people laughing, phones buzzing. The scent of roasted coffee swirling. Jack remembered those long nights in stuffy labs. Emily's eyes lit up with hope. She was a force, quiet, fierce, unstoppable. And he chased bright screens and flashing numbers, building an empire, while the world missed the real magic she held. His phone buzzed. A text from the board. New crisis. Another deal in flames. But Jack couldn't peel his eyes off her. That laugh, so genuine, so free, cut through the noise inside him. The moment shattered the steel walls he built. Then Marcus Bennett appeared, a tall figure, slick suit, and that sharp sheen of a man used to getting what he wants. Marcus, wealthy, ruthless, and now dangerously interested not just in the tech world, but in Emily. His smile was too smooth, too calculated, like a wolf stalking a prize. Jack felt the cold sting in his gut. This wasn't just a fight over business anymore. No, it was personal. Emily's eyes flicked toward Marcus, her smile polite but distant. Jack's chest tightened. Rage and old pain flooded in, raw and bitter. He wanted to shout, to tell her to run from him, to run from this chaos. But what could he say? How could he compete with a man like Marcus? Around them, whispers spread. Is that Jack Harrison and Emily Carter? Faces turned. Phones slipped out. A spectacle brewing. Their past tangled with the present, secrets hanging like a dark cloud ready to burst. Jack's mind raced. 20 years of silence, 2 ruined hearts, and now this dangerous triangle. The legacy he chased, the empire he fought for, all felt like a gilded cage. Could he step out? Could he risk everything for a chance at love that felt as fragile as glass? Emily laughed again, bright and careless, sending a shiver down Jack's spine. The echo wrapped around him, pulling him back inside the cafe from the storm raging in his mind. His breath caught. His stomach knotted. Standing there outside the door, Jack knew this moment could break him or save him. Was love really worth all the fallout? Could he risk losing everything for a chance to finally be free? He didn't have an answer yet. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Jack stood frozen, his heart a wild animal in his chest. Emily's laughter faded. The warm glow of their reunion pulled into shadow by the looming figure of Marcus. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about her, his Emily. The one who slipped through his fingers all those years ago, now trapped in an unseen cage. Suddenly, a loud crash broke through the cafe's chatter. A figure staggered through the entrance, clutching his side, eyes wide with panic. The cafe's atmosphere shifted instantly. Everything spilled into chaos. Jack's instincts shot into overdrive as he turned to see what was happening. Couldn't help but feel the terror rising in the room like smoke. The man, disheveled, breathless, shouted over the crowd, "They're coming! They're coming for us!" Gasps erupted, heads snapping towards the door. The barista dropped a cup. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Jack felt a knot of dread coil tighter in his gut. "Who?" he yelled, as concern etched into every line on Emily's face. The man stumbled toward them, desperation in his eyes. "The tech! You don't know! They're trying to silence us! They took everything!" A chill raced through Jack. "They? Taken? What are you talking about?" He stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper. Something shifted in the air, a weight that pressed down on his chest. "Emily, your project. It's bigger than you know," the man said, his voice cracking. "They want it. They'll stop at nothing to control it." Jack turned sharply to Emily, who went pale. The spark in her eyes dimmed. "What did you do?" Because they had spent countless nights drafting and dreaming, their shared world now crumbling around them. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," she gasped, taking a step back. Fear flickered in her eyes, replaced by something darker. Shame? There was a secret here, hidden under layers of regret. But before anyone could process the chaos, the cafe door swung open again. This time, a group of men entered, stern expressions, wearing suits that promised danger. Murmurs surged through the crowd, people edging away, phones buzzing wildly. Jack's heart raced, pounding against his ribs like a caged bird. Each man scanned the room, their gaze sharp as knives. Marcus remained still, calculating, a smirk playing on his lips. Why was he so unfazed? Jack's pulse quickened. He turned back to Emily, who was pale, trembling slightly. "Emily, what is going on?" he demanded, panic rising inside him. "It's not what you think, Jack," she whispered, trembling now. "I thought I could protect it." "Protect what?" His voice raised, cutting through the fear. Every eye in the cafe was on them, waiting. Before she could answer, one of the men stepped forward, eyes cold as stone. "Emily Carter, you're coming with us." A wave of betrayal crashed over Jack. This was something more than he'd ever imagined. Was her success built on a lie? And Marcus, watching with that confident smirk, what role did he play in all of this? "Stop! You can't take her!" Jack's voice broke as he placed himself in front of Emily. "Step aside," the man ordered, voice chillingly calm. Time froze again. Jack's world shifted unexpectedly. The air crackled with tension. Old dreams shattered with every passing second. He could feel Emily's fear, could taste the electric uncertainty of the moment. And then, just as suddenly, chaos erupted. A loud crash echoed, and the lights went dark. A scream, a shattering sound that broke the silence. Shadows moved like vultures, encircling them. ... Everything spiraled, and for a moment, Jack couldn't tell friend from foe. All he knew was he had to protect her. But as everything blurred into darkness, a devastating truth lingered in the air. Was he protecting Emily? Or was she the one protecting him? The questions clawed at him, urgent and relentless. The cafe, the men, the secrets, they all blurred, and all he could feel was the dread of the unknown closing in. Jack stood frozen, gripped by a storm of emotions and uncertainties. Marcus's presence loomed over them like a thundercloud. Emily's laughter faded, replaced by an awkward tension. Jack's heart raced when Marcus leaned closer, his voice low and deliberate. "Emily," Marcus said, smooth as silk, "I've been looking forward to this too." A pang of jealousy twisted in Jack's stomach. He hated how easily Marcus slipped into the conversation, how casually he claimed the space between them. Jack's hands clenched around his cup, the heat scalding. Then came a scream, a piercing, shattering sound. It erupted from the back of the cafe. Jack's head snapped towards the noise. A table tipped over, and a woman stumbled, dropping her coffee. Gasps spread like wildfire. Jack's heart pounded as he turned back to Emily, who, pale, stared wide-eyed at the door. The door crashed open. A figure burst in, wild-eyed, disheveled, clearly out of breath. "Somebody help!" the man gasped, panting. She's coming after me!" Cold dread seeped into Jack's bones. The atmosphere shifted. The light laughter and chatter turned into anxious whispers and nervous glances. Marcus stepped back, instinctively shielding Emily, but she remained rooted, her eyes darting between Jack and the newcomer. "Who's after you?" Jack demanded, his throat dry. Shaking, the man pointed towards the door, breathless fear etched across his features. "A woman. She has a gun. She's insane." Instantly, the cafe echoed with terrified gasps. Jack's instincts kicked in. He scanned the room, instinctively moving closer to Emily, creating a barrier from the chaos around them. No one laughed now. The room buzzed with whispered panic. Suddenly, Emily spoke, her voice steadier than Jack felt. "What does she want? Why are you running?" The man shook his head violently. "You don't understand. She's looking for Jack Harrison." That name hung in the air, sharp and electrifying. Jack's heart sank. He felt the blood drain from his face. "Me?" he stammered. "Why me?" At that moment, the cafe's atmosphere shifted, dark and thick with breathing silence. All eyes turned toward him. Conversations ceased. The barista dropped a cup. The tinkling crashed against the tiled floor. Emily's expression morphed from concern to shock. "Jack, why would anyone be looking for you?" "I don't know," he exclaimed, panic creeping into his voice. "I've built this life. There's nothing to find." Marcus moved, his sharp gaze scanning the door. "Stay low, everyone," he commanded, taking charge. "If someone's coming, we need to act now." Jack wanted to argue, to shout about the injustice of this moment, but his voice caught in his throat. The world spun. Emily's eyes held questions, fury, betrayal, confusion. Could they have missed something for all these years? Was there some dark secret lurking beneath the surface of their shared past? And what about Marcus? Why did he look so intrigued by the chaos unfolding? Then came the sound of heavy footsteps. A hard thud reverberated from outside. Jack's breath hitched. Was this the moment everything shattered? Did he dare to hope for clarity amidst this storm? No answers came. Only uncertainty loomed. Emily moved closer, her face resolute. "We need to leave, now!" But Jack hesitated, rooted in place as the door trembled on its hinges. Jack stood frozen, gripped by a storm of emotions and uncertainties. Marcus's presence loomed over them like a thundercloud. Emily's laughter faded, replaced by an awkward tension. Jack's heart raced when Marcus leaned closer, his voice low and deliberate. "Emily," Marcus said, smooth as silk, "I've been looking forward to this too." A pang of jealousy twisted in Jack's stomach. He hated how easily Marcus slipped into the conversation, how casually he claimed the space between them. Jack's hands clenched around his cup, the heat scalding but unnoticeable. Then came a scream, a piercing, shattering sound. It erupted from the back of the cafe. Jack's head snapped toward the noise. A table tipped over, and a woman stumbled, dropping her coffee. Gasps spread like wildfire. Jack's heart pounded as he turned back to Emily, who, pale, stared wide-eyed at the door. The door crashed open. A figure burst in, wild-eyed, disheveled, clearly out of breath. "Somebody help!" the man gasped, panting. She's coming after me!" Cold dread seeped into Jack's bones. The atmosphere shifted. The light laughter and chatter turned into anxious whispers and nervous glances. Marcus stepped back, instinctively shielding Emily, but she remained rooted, her eyes darting between Jack and the newcomer. "Who's after you?" Jack demanded, his throat dry. Shaking, the man pointed towards the door. Breathless fear etched across his features. "A woman. She has a gun. She's insane." Instantly, the cafe echoed with terrified gasps. Jack's instincts kicked in. He scanned the room, instinctively moving closer to Emily, creating a barrier from the chaos around them. No one laughed now. The room buzzed with whispered panic. Suddenly, Emily spoke, her voice steadier than Jack felt. "What does she want? Why are you running?" The man shook his head violently. "You don't understand. She's looking for Jack Harrison." That name hung in the air, sharp and electrifying. Jack's heart sank. He felt the blood drain from his face. "Me?" he stammered. "Why me?" At that moment, the cafe's atmosphere shifted, dark and thick with breathing silence. All eyes turned toward him. Conversation ceased. The barista dropped a cup. The tinkling crashed against the tiled floor. Emily's expression morphed from concern to shock. "Jack, why would anyone be looking for you?" "I don't know," he exclaimed, panic creeping into his voice. "I've built this life. There's nothing to find." Marcus moved, his sharp gaze scanning the door. "Stay low, everyone," he commanded, taking charge. "If someone's coming, we need to act now." Jack wanted to argue, to shout about the injustice of this moment, But his voice caught in his throat. The world spun. Emily's eyes held questiones, fury, betrayal, confusion. Then, just when Jack thought it couldn't get worse, the lights flickered. Anxiety rippled through the crowd. A loud bang echoed from the back. A sudden crack followed, like a whip, and the window shattered, sending glass raining down. Gasps erupted. Jack's breath caught. He turned to find Emily tumbling backward, caught off guard by flying shards. A scream erupted from nearby, merging with the chaos. "I've got you!" Jack shouted, lunging forward, instinctively reaching for her. But as he did, a figure stepped through the shattered doorway. Tall, imposing, and wild-eyed. A woman with madness swirling in her gaze. "Jack!" she roared, pointing her gun directly at him. Every breath in the cafe held. Jack's chest tightened, constricted by fear. How did she find me? Who was she? In a split second, the woman glanced at Emily, her expression flickering with recognition. "You're his weakness." The gun was still aimed at Jack, but there was something chillingly familiar in her eyes, something that sent a shiver down his spine. A flicker of memory. A childhood friend? A face from the past? "Who are you?" Jack demanded, his voice shaking as adrenaline surged through him. She stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "You abandoned us, Jack. You left me. You left all of us." As the pieces began to click painfully into place, Jack's world tilted again. He looked back at Emily, her mouth agape, confusion replaced by a dawning horror. "Wait, what do you mean?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "Jack, what is she talking about?" Before he could answer, the woman took a step forward, eyes fierce, hatred brimming. "You were supposed to save us, not leave us behind." Everything spiraled, and Jack felt the ground drop from beneath him. Memories flooded his mind, distant, echoing cries for help. A life he thought he'd outrun crashed blindly into his present. As reality shattered again, a harsh truth loomed over him. Jack was not just a tech mogul with a past. He was the center of a storm he never saw coming. "Jack," Emily whispered, breaking the silence with panic. "What did you do?" And just like that, everything he ever believed about himself, his success, and even his love for Emily was shaken at its core. Jack knew now. The past didn't just stay buried. It clawed its way back. He was about to uncover a secret that would change not just his life, but everyone around him. And as he stood before the woman, heart racing and breath shallow, he realized it was no longer just about love. It was about survival. What would he do next? The laughter hung in the air, bright yet distant. Jack's heart thudded in tandem with the pulse of a cafe. Everything inside him screamed to step closer, to bridge the chasm of 2 decades. Yet Marcus stood tall and imposing, the epitome of wealth and allure. Suddenly the door swung open, and a harsh gust of wind swept in. The chatter faded as a man rushed through, wild-eyed and gasping. He looked around, frantic, and locked eyes with Jack. Panic darted behind his gaze. "Jack, you need to come with me!" Now, words spilled like marbles from the man's mouth. "It's about Emily. Your life? It's all a lie." The cafe erupted in whispers, interest peaked. Jack's confusion twisted into concern. "What are you talking about?" Emily's face turned ashen, her eyes wide. She reached for Jack's hand. "What's going on?" Before he could answer, Marcus stepped forward, annoyance painted on his face. This isn't the time. Jack's chest tightened. No, it might be important. Who are you? The man hesitated, glancing back at the door, as if expecting someone to follow. I can't say here. It's too dangerous. Just trust me. Every second stretched painfully. The bustling cafe felt like a ticking time bomb. Jack looked at Emily, her expression a whirlwind of fear and curiosity. This night was supposed to be a reunion, a chance to reclaim lost time. Now it threatened to unearth something dark. Then the man spoke quietly, each word laced with urgency. Your father, he's not who you think he is. Jack froze, every muscle locking tight. What do you mean? Your father's connections, his money, they come from a place you don't know. A place of secrets and danger. Shut up, Marcus barked, but the damage was done. Jack felt a cold sweat trickle down his spine. The air shifted, whispers grew louder, anticipation crackling through the crowd. The man glanced nervously around and lowered his voice. He's involved in things that could ruin you. I've seen the files. Those people. Images of everything he'd built flashed before Jack. The boardrooms, the deals, the empire of screens and blinking lights. Was it all a facade? How do you know this? Jack demanded, the tremor in his voice barely contained. Because I worked for him. I couldn't take it anymore. You don't know how deep it goes. I had to warn you before it's too late. Emily squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes searching his face. Jack, what does this mean? But before he could respond, the cafe door slammed open again. A woman stood framed in the doorway, drenched in rain, her face hidden beneath a hood. She lifted her head, and Jack's breath caught. Jack, you... The room tilted, the world spinning as he fought to understand. What did all of this mean? Questions surged, clawing at his mind. He felt Emily's presence beside him, strong yet fragile. The ties of their past tangled with secrets of the present. Jack realized this was bigger than love, bigger than jealousy. This went to the core of everything he believed. He turned to the man, desperation overcoming doubt. What do you know? Jack didn't know it yet, but the answers were about to change everything. Jack's heart raced. He stood at the crossroads of his past and present, the weight of lost years crashing down on him. Emily's laugh echoed around him, but it felt distant. The gleam in Marcus's eyes sent a chill through his chest, like ice water. This was more than a reunion. It was a showdown. The cafe hummed lightly, but inside Jack's head, thoughts screamed. What was he going to do? He glanced at Emily. She was a galaxy away, surrounded by memories he both cherished and cursed. Jack, she said, breaking through his fog, it's been too long. Yeah, it really has, he managed, the familiarity of her voice settling over him like an old, warm blanket. But before he could gather the courage to ask about her life, the door swung open with a force that jarred the air. In strode a woman Jack had never seen, her face pale, eyes wide with panic. She scanned the cafe, ash-blonde hair fluttering like a banner of urgency. The whole room fell quiet. Every head turned. Help! Somebody, please, she shouted, breathless. There's been an accident outside. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jack's heart dropped. He felt a pull, a gut instinct to move, to act, and then he caught Marcus's look, steely, calculating. Jack stepped forward, brushing past Emily, who looked as lost as he felt. Before he reached the door, the woman collapsed against the counter, shaking violently. "It was a car crash! They need paramedics! So many!" Jack's chest tightened. His mind raced. Was it someone he knew? The thoughts spiraled. Friends, family. Who was out there? "Come on," he urged, adrenaline coursing through him. He turned to Emily. "Stay here, okay? Call for help." But Emily didn't budge. Her eyes were locked onto the woman. Clear concern lined on her face. "Jack, wait!" In that moment, chaos erupted outside. A siren wailed in the distance, but before Jack could react fully, a loud crash reverberated through the cafe. Wood splintered. Crap! A black sports car flew through the cafe window, exploding glass everywhere, the world tilting. Jack didn't think. He dove for Emily, instinctively pulling her down just as the vehicle careened into their space, sending shards of glass exploding around them like dangerous confetti. Time seemed to stretch, frozen under a shroud of fear and shock. Then, silence. The cafe held its breath, a chaotic peace settling over the stunned crowd. Jack felt Emily's breath catch. The softness of her body pressed against his. They lay on the cold, hard floor, surrounded by debris. The shrill of the siren was now a ghostly echo. Gingerly, Jack pulled himself up, scanning the scene. Panic erupted. People scrambled, shouting for loved ones, some tending to the wounded. But in the mayhem, Jack's eyes found her. The woman. She was standing again. But something was off. Her eyes now radiated a different energy. Not panic, but a chilling calm. Jack's stomach lurched. As she glanced at him, her features twisted into a knowing smirk. "I'm glad you're all here," she said, voice dripping with something sharp, something sinister. "You see, I've been waiting for this moment." Jack's heart sank, a lead weight in his chest. He recognized the glimmer in her eyes, the spark of a long-held secret ready to ignite. The woman waved a hand, and suddenly Jack could feel the world shifting under him. The laughter, the pain, the years lost, they twisted together, forming a web of lies and desires. He caught the flicker of something dangerous in Emily's gaze, and fear gripped him. Was this truly the reunion he wanted? Or the unraveling of everything he thought he'd built? Jack's breath hitched. What did she know? Did she hold the key to a dark truth that connected them all? The cafe, once a sanctuary, now felt like a trap, ready to explode with secrets and revelations. Jack froze, caught between everything he thought he knew and the storm raging ahead. That laugh, that look, was it the end or just the beginning? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he watched Emily laugh. It was her laugh, the one that pulled him back through time. Yet it felt like a knife twisting in his chest. The comforting warmth of nostalgia turned bitter. He wanted to reach across the small table, to close the distance, to tell her how much time had slipped away, how much he missed her. But then Marcus leaned closer, his presence suffocating, like a storm cloud heavy with rain. Jack clenched his fists. The cafe buzzed with chatter, sparkling laughter interspersed with the rich aroma of coffee. Yet, nothing could drown out the tension slicing through their little corner. The glint in Marcus's It whispered of intentions darker than just business. Then everything shattered. A sudden crash echoed through the cafe, drawing a wave of startled gasps. Jack's head whipped around just in time to see the glass door fly open. A group of armed individuals stormed in, their faces obscured by masks. Panic surged through the cafe. Tables toppled, chairs clattered to the ground. "Get down!" a voice shouted, frantic and fierce. Jack's heart dropped. Instinct kicked in. He lunged for Emily, pulling her off her chair, just as a bullet shattered the wall behind her. The sound was deafening, like thunder cracking through the sky. He felt her small frame trembling against him, her breath hitching, and that fear cut through him like a knife. Marcus shouted, "Stay down!" as he reached for Emily, eyes wide and wild. But Jack didn't let go. His mind raced. What did they want? Who had sent these men? The gunman moved swiftly, sweeping across the cafe, barking orders. Jack kept his body pressed against Emily's, shielding her from the horror around them. He had to protect her. He had to. Suddenly, one of the gunmen stopped. His gaze landed on Marcus. Recognition sparked in those dark eyes. "You!" he snarled, taking a step closer. Jack's breath faltered. Why would they recognize Marcus? What was he hiding? "It's not what you think!" Marcus defended himself, his voice shaking, desperation spilling through the cracks of his confidence. "I didn't!" But the gunman cut him off, raising his weapon. "You betrayed us!" Jack's mind raced faster than his heart. Betrayed? Marcus? The walls of his carefully constructed world began crumbling around him. Was there a connection? What did Marcus do? Emily clutched Jack's arm, her voice barely a whisper. "Jack, what's happening?" He swallowed hard, trying to calm her, but chaos consumed him. The tension surged like a storm, drowning out thoughts of their past, twisting every memory he had. This wasn't just about old loves or lost chances anymore. It was about life and death. "Get out!" a voice shouted. "We won't ask again!" More bullets fired, and Jack felt the heat of the moment. He had to make a choice. Stay with Emily, stay behind the veil of safety, and risk everything, or grab her hand, run, and face whatever turmoil lay ahead. In that split second, beneath the flickering lights and chaos, Jack's heart raced. He looked into Emily's eyes, wide, searching. Who was she, really? His world spun, and in that moment, he understood. He might not just be fighting for love. He might be fighting for their lives. What if we don't make it out? He wondered, a knot tightening in his chest. "Then we fight together," she said, grounding him like a lifeline. But as he made the decision to free them from this nightmare, the door swung open again, revealing a figure that made everything freeze. It was a woman, with long dark hair and a piercing gaze. She looked at Jack, and when she spoke, the words struck like lightning. "Jack, you need to know the truth about Emily." And just like that, the ground shifted beneath him. "Jack, you need to know the truth about Emily." The words hung in the air, charged with an electricity that snaked through Jack's veins. His heart raced, pounding wildly in his chest. He looked from the woman to Emily, searching her face for answers. Confusion flickered in Emily's eyes, a mirror to Jack's own disbelief. Who are you?" Jack breathed out, finally finding his voice. The woman took a step closer, the fading light reflecting off her wet hair. "I'm Sarah. I was supposed to protect you both. but I failed." Her tone was heavy, like she was carrying a weight too great. Sarah's gaze shifted away, as if scanning for invisible threats. The chaos from outside felt distant now, like muted echoes. "There's so much you don't know," she continued, voice dense with urgency. "Emily isn't just a scientist. She's part of something dangerous." Jack's breath caught. "What do you mean?" Before Sarah could respond, another loud crash split the air. The front door blasted off its hinges. A tidal wave of armed men poured in, their faces masked, weapons raised. Time stood still, and Jack's focus sharpened. He felt the world narrow down to just him, Emily, and the imminent danger. "Get down!" he shouted, pushing Emily behind him, instinctively protecting her. His mind raced. What did Sarah mean? What was happening? But there was no time to dwell. The masked men shouted orders, their voices icy and commanding. They swept through the cafe, taking control. Jack's heart thundered, adrenaline surging. The chaotic atmosphere was thick, the air crackling with fear and tension. Then, as the gunman rounded the corner toward Sarah, she turned and shouted, "What do you want with us?" The leader of the masked men hesitated, surprise flickering over his features. "You!" he spat, pointing directly at her. "Where is the device?" Jack's mind reeled. "Device? What device?" "Jack, listen to me!" Sarah exclaimed. "Mel, she must not get her hands on this." But then, in that crucial moment, the unexpected happened. The cafe door swung open again, and in strode a chilling figure. Jack's father. Shock rippled through him. The man, tall and formidable, stood there, eyes cold and calculating, like a predator watching its prey. "Dad?" Jack whispered, disbelief choking him. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. "Jack," his father said, his voice dark and calm, "I didn't want you getting involved in this." "What the hell is going on?" Jack shouted, his heart sinking. His father glanced at the armed men and back at Sarah, a knowing glint in his eyes. "Jack, this is bigger than your little world," his father replied, the contempt dripping from his voice. "This is about power. And we need the device to secure our future." Everything inside Jack twisted. He felt the ground shake beneath him. The truth crashed down like a ton of bricks. Jack had been a pawn in a game far more dangerous than he could have imagined. "What device?" he managed to choke out. "What are you talking about?" Before any answers could surface, the gunmen shifted forward, their weapons aimed at Sarah. Jack stepped in, instinctively positioning himself in front of her. He couldn't let them hurt her. Not again. "Stop!" he yelled, desperation lacing his words. "You don't have to do this. Let her go." "Move aside, Jack," his father ordered, voice ice cold. "You don't understand." But Jack did understand. In the depths of his gut, everything aligned. This was not just a moment of fear. It's too late for that. A sharp gasp escaped Jack, eyes wide as everything he thought he stood for crumbled. And in that split second, as reality twisted like smoke around him, Jack realized the truth was far darker than he could have ever imagined. His father wasn't just part of the chaos. He was at its center, orchestrating the very storm ready to break around them. Jack felt the heat of rage and betrayal flooding over him. But above it all, a single question screamed in his mind. What now? Jack felt the weight of the gunman's gaze like a cold blade in his throat. His heart raced as the world around him shrank. It was just him, Emily, and the chaos edging closer. Sarah stood by, a fierce look on her face, ready to fight. But Jack knew now wasn't the time. Everything hung suspended. An electric second, thick with tension. "Step away from her," the leader of the armed men said, his finger twitching on the trigger. But Sarah's eyes were fierce, igniting a spark of hope. Or was it? The gasps rose around them, and then a sound cut through the air, sharp and piercing, the unmistakable cry of a baby. What? Jack's heart stumbled. The noise was loud in the chaos, drawing every eye. A small figure appeared at the door, clutching a blanket, waddling slowly toward the scene. "Mommy?" the little girl cried, her innocent voice ringing like a bell. "No!" Sarah screamed, lunging forward. But she was too late. The men froze, staring at the child in disbelief. Jack felt the world tilt. The shock, the confusion, and the sudden burst of chaos spiraled like a whirlwind around them. The little girl was here? But how? Was she? "Get down!" a man barked, turning to aim his weapon at the child. "No!" Jack shouted, heart slamming against his ribs. Without thinking, he pushed Emily aside and sprinted toward the girl. The cafe erupted into chaos. Shouts filled the air. Confusion raged like fire. Jack reached out, trying to shield the tiny figure from the threat looming above her. "Come here, sweetheart," he urged, voice low, desperate to keep her calm. "It's okay. It's going to be okay." But the girl looked lost, eyes wide, searching. "Where's Mommy?" she whimpered, clutching the blanket tighter. Time froze again. Everything felt suspended in the electric air, just for a moment. A moment that felt like a lifetime. Jack turned, eyes darting in panic. "Mommy!" the little girl said again, her voice trembling. And then Jack turned back to Sarah, and everything changed. Sarah's expression twisted into horror, recognition hitting her like a wave. "No, it can't be." "What?" Jack said, voice sharp. But before he could grasp it, Sarah's next move snapped everything into place. With a single leap, she dashed toward the girl, eyes full of desperation and love. "Emma! Oh my God!" Jack's veins turned to ice. "Emma! Mommy?" the girl called out, eyes lighting up as Sarah reached her, enveloping her in a fierce embrace. But the shock radiated through Jack like a damning thunderstorm. "Emma? Your daughter?" The words landed heavily. Sarah turned to him, her face pale. "I thought she was... I lost her." Jack felt the room spin. What was happening? The moment washed over him like a tidal wave. All the questions flooded at once. Who had Emma? What had Sarah been hiding? And why now? The armed men exchanged glances, uncertainty seeping into their ranks. Jack took a step back, pressed against the chaos, grounded only by his shock. "Get away from her!" one of the gunmen yelled. But Sarah held Emma close, shaken and fierce, defiance igniting her spirit. "You won't take her from me again!" And then the world shattered into pieces. The man's weapon fired, the sound echoing through the cafe like a thunderclap, screaming that nothing would ever be the same. Jack's heart dropped as chaos exploded. Sarah crumpled, the little girl screaming, everything spinning wildly. "Run!" Jack shouted at Emily, panic breaking free, but he was frozen, caught in a whirlwind of emotion. Utter devastation ripping through him. Was Sarah the one who had protected them all along? Or was this a part of some plan? The truth clawed its way back through his mind, raw and piercing. As Jack staggered, lost in confusion, the cafe transformed into a battlefield. And in that moment, he realized this wasn't just about secrets or lies. It was about survival. And the stakes were higher than anyone could fathom. What would happen next? Jack's heart raced as he saw Sarah crumpled to the floor. The chaos around him, blending into a blur. The cafe erupted into screams. But all he could focus on was Emma, Sarah's little girl. "Get back!" one of the armed men shouted, weapons drawn, eyes wild with fear. Jack felt his instincts kick in. He had to protect them. He stepped forward, grounding himself in the chaos and shielding Emma with his body. "Stay close to me," he shouted, urgency spilling from his lips. But then Sarah sprang back into action, her fierce love igniting a fire within her. "Emma, come to me, sweetheart," she cried, extending her arms as the little girl stumbled toward her. Jack watched the scene unfold, a powerful surge of emotion washing over him. "Mommy!" Emma's voice rang out, sweet and innocent, slicing through the charged air. In that moment, the gunmen hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their cold, calculating eyes. "Step aside, or we will shoot," one of them warned. But Jack stood firm, ready to fight for the only family he had. Heart pounding, breath held. Before anyone could act, the situation escalated. The cafe door burst open again, and Marcus stormed in. Panic etched across his face. "What's happening?" he yelled, but quickly assessed the scene. "Get everyone out," Jack barked back, urgency palpable. Marcus nodded, eyes darting toward Emily, who stood frozen, disbelief mingling with fear. "Follow me!" Marcus shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. But the armed men tightened their grip on their weapons, threatening and bold. ... "Enough!" the leader yelled, but Jack saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes, a crack in his hardened demeanor. Then, with an adrenaline-fueled rush, Sarah made her move. "I won't let you take her again," she cried, clutching Emma tightly. "You'll have to go through me first." "Sarah, no!" Jack shouted, fear gripping him like a vice. He couldn't lose her again. But before he could reach them, gunfire erupted, striking the cafe walls, sending shards of wood and chaos spiraling through the air. "Run!" Marcus shouted, grabbing Emily's hand, tugging her toward the back exit. "Come on!" Jack yelled, finally breaking away from his protective stance, adrenaline propelling him forward. He rushed to Sarah and Emma, pulling them close. "We need to get out, now!" "What about them?" Sarah glanced back, fear etched on her face. "Focus on Emma. We'll figure it out later," he replied, heart racing as he ushered them toward the exit. In a whirlwind of motion, they dashed through the cafe, chaos trailing behind them. As they reached the door, a sudden realization hit Jack. "The device!" he shouted, turning back, but it was too late. The armed men were already retreating, chaos simmering behind them. Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. Once outside, they stumbled into the dimly lit street, gasping for air. The night was thick with tension and sweat. Jack turned to see Marcus leading Emily away from the chaos, his eyes filled with a mixture of relief and disbelief. "Is everyone all right?" Jack gasped, breathless, as he held Sarah and Emma close. "I think so, but we need to move," she replied, her voice trembling. Emma clung to her tightly, the weight of fear still hanging over them. Jack took a moment, scanning the street. The danger hadn't passed, but they were together. There was a flicker of hope amid the storm brewing around them. "We can't hide forever," Marcus warned, his tone serious. "They'll come looking for us." Jack looked at Sarah, then to Emily, determination igniting in his gut. "We'll fight back." At that moment, a bond formed. They were more than survivors. They were allies in a broken world. And as Jack felt a new strength surge through him, he knew they would face whatever came next, together. But lingering questions hung heavily in the air. Who truly held power over them? What secrets lay buried in their past? Could they trust Marcus? And most importantly, could they protect Emma from whatever storm loomed on the horizon? "Where do we go from here?" Jack asked, voice steady but uncertain. Sarah glanced up, her eyes fierce. "We find the truth. We reclaim our lives." The resolve in her voice sent a thrill through Jack. He nodded as they all steeled themselves for the journey ahead. And as the night loomed dark and full of mystery, they stepped into the unknown together. If you loved this story, you have to subscribe now. Don't you want to see what happens next? So smash that like button, show your support, and share your thoughts. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories. This is the moment to spread the word. So share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Don't wait even a second longer. Every like, comment, and share counts. Join us for the next chapter. You won't want to miss it.